All right, we are back, finishing up covering the Royal Rumble event. Last finished off talking about Becky Lynch versus Doudrop for the Raw Women's Championship. Moving on to many people's dream match of the night, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship.
They played a 4-minute video hyping the two men up and this matchup. I thought it was a very interesting use of time, given how late the night had already become.
Yeah.
I didn't say this during the Women's Rumble talk, Jack, but do you know how much time is in between entrants?
90 seconds.
And I heard them say that, and I wonder if that's actually true, or if they fudge with that to make, the event go faster. I timed it for multiple entrants. It was 90 seconds, Jack. Yeah, it was like, that was a weird truth to commit to.
Yeah.
Later in the men's, they definitely trimmed the time, though, because it was getting late. It was like after 8. Yeah. And those guys were coming out about a minute after each other.
Yeah, and it definitely felt that way with how quickly a lot of them came out. But, going in this match, it was, the video package was pretty cool, even if it was really long. But, hyped up the match because, like I said, dream match for a lot of people. And it just barely went 10 minutes, which was to be expected on my part.
Yeah.
Brock
especially a night with 30 people rumbles. Like, there isn't a lot of time to give, right?
Yeah. But what did you think of the match, sir?
I was like, I was entertained for most of it. The one part I've got the biggest gripe was the finish. I actually liked a lot that happened after the finish. I liked a lot what happened before the finish. But just that part in the middle left me wanting more, but in a bad way.
Yeah. It was a hoss fight, as people expected. Lashley had already gotten busted up in the lip.
Yeah.
Suplexes, spears, all that people expected.
Yep.
And then, for the most part, Bobby was getting, it handed to him, But then Reigns comes in and interferes. And
yes, he does.
There's the
first, Lesnar hits the referee with Bobby Lashley's body, throwing him around for an F5.
Yeah.
First, Bobby ran into him in the corner. Then we knock him out. So, where's the ref bump? That's what draws Roman out to spear Brock Lesnar, right?
Yeah, and then the spot that everyone's talking about, he's Heyman hands him the WWE Championship. He uses it on Brock, and then he just kind of looks at it and then just tosses it aside.
He was looking at it, Jack, even before he used it. He was waiting for Brock to get in the position. He's looking at it that was a great move to look at it and go, mine's better, right?
Mine's blue.
Yeah. Mine's blue, right? Yeah, no, I'm all about Paul Heyman and the double cross. I'm all about Roman costing Brock the title. I'm not down with us leaving not knowing. Well, I guess my problem, Jack, is it's either one of two things. Tell me which one of these it is. Is it because I wanted to know who was stronger, Brock or Bobby, and I left not knowing? Or did actually I leave knowing it was Brock?
I think a lot of people left knowing it was Brock just because of how the final minutes of that.
Yeah, right. So a part of me was like, this wasn't as competitive as I wanted it to be. Brock really pwned Bobby Lashley, right?
Yeah.
Got the visual pin on him. Bobby never had a chance. But here comes Roman.
Yeah.
And here comes Heyman.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say here, as I mentioned with the women's rumble, I was trying to stay optimistic, about who could realistically win it, except, and, I was able to enjoy it because, like I said, despite Sasha going out early and Liv,
right,
it was like, how would you say, it wasn't, because Ronda came out so late, it was like, all right, I knew, still up until that point, even like when Ronda came out, there was still a part of me that was like, there's nothing to say that she has to win, like much like how people were saying if Charlotte eliminated Lita, that could set up a match. It was like Charlotte could eliminate Ronda and set up a match because, like I mentioned, she's guaranteed an opportunity.
Yep,
but the moment
absolutely.
I saw Brock lose his title here, I still tried to hold out and believe anybody that I was picking could win, but I was like, there was just the majority of me. I was keeping silent because I wanted my dad and brother to just enjoy it. But there was a part of me that was like, Brock's coming out at the end. He's taking someone's spot. Whoever he's taking their spot, and he's winning this, and he's going after Roman because of this.
That's the cloud, Jack. We're just gonna let it hang over you, me, and the audience. That's the cloud. You think, gosh, why didn't they do that men's rumble first?
Yeah, like if this is how the night's gonna end, we really could have done that women's match first.
Goodness gracious. So, Bobby Lashley, your new WWE champion. He's going to walk around. He's going to tell everyone he beat Brock Lesnar because that's what it says in the record books. That's what MVP was clear to the person interviewing him on Instagram. The two-time WWE champion, Bobby Lashley, beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Cool to see Bobby's back as champion.
Yep.
Interesting to see where it goes from here. Some people... spoiler for what's happening on Raw. Brock's going to be put into the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match in Saudi. And a lot of people are already predicting he's going to be a transitional champion. Which is honestly kind of funny because, a year later from, Elimination Chamber last year, Bobby was helping The Miz become champion. And The Miz ended up becoming a transitional champion because he dropped it to Bobby. And now here we are a year later and people are like, well, Bobby's probably going to be a transitional champion, and we get spoiler, we get a title unification match at Mania.
You think so?
I don't think so. I think they're too invested in the brands, especially Fox and USA, to end the brand.
I agree. Like, they've done this before, you know what I mean? Only to split them up again. I think it would be silly to try to... It might be a non-title, affair of... Well, yeah, they couldn't. Oh, Brock won the stupid... Well, Brock Lesnar will face... Oops. Don't know if I was supposed to read that. Spoilers, Jack. Let's move on to the next match before we dig ourselves into a deeper hole.
Getting ahead of ourselves. Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix. The It couple versus the Grit couple.
This, Jack, was the match that had my least attention. I was so not looking forward to it that I left my apartment. I went and got food. This was officially 8 o'clock, and I forgot this match was going to happen. And I thought, absolutely not. I had it on my phone. I was listening to it, and I didn't miss much.
Yeah, I even wrote down, I forgot that this match was supposed to happen until it came on.
Man, I hate, Jack, the Grit couple. I hate it. Because the Miz and Maurice have grit, too. He's a former WWE champion. Why is he talking to him like he's that guy from NXT? What's his name?
Grayson Waller?
Yes! But even then, that guy has grit, too. Who doesn't have grit at this level?
Yeah, and I think it deals with what we were saying last time about Edge and Punk, where it's it's just hard to get into Edge when you're so used to him being the heel.
Goodness, Jack. And in that video package when Edge and Beth interrupt that birthday party, I guess. By the way, who's the face and heel in that dynamic?
Yeah.
Edge, what does he do? Does he spear a guy through a table? Does he execute a guy through a table, Jack? No, he power bombs. Remember how good Edge used to be with a power bomb? Oh, you don't? Because he never used a power bomb, Jack, in 20 years.
Yeah. But, I think, similar to QT Marshall versus Big Show at AEW All Out, this was just that filler match to cool down the crowd in time for the main event,
Kinda.
I mean, for
Because
you,
really,
especially as you went to go get food during the match, it gave you that time to go.
you're absolutely right, Jack. That's exactly what this match afforded me. But I don't know. This like the company also too like pretends like Edge and Beth Phoenix are bigger deals than they actually are. And what was with Beth's hair? Jack, can I say this? Do we have enough time for me to rant about wrestlers paying homage to other wrestlers? I'm over it. Like we need to take a big long break from doing that. Like yeah. Jack, like in 20 years when they want to pay homage to today's wrestlers, what are they supposed to do? Pay homage to Bull, what's her name? Bull Tanaka. And I'm actually paying homage to Beth Phoenix, who was paying homage to Bull Tanaka at the Royal Rumble 2022.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I love Eddie more than anyone else, but my goodness, do I feel like there's at least one Eddie homage like every like big event,
Bull Nakano.
Ah, there we go.
Pardon me.
It feels like someone's busting out the. Hold on, sir. It feels like everyone's busting out the Three Amigos every so often,
And like to allude to what happens later, we saw Austin Theory in the Men's Royal Rumble dressed up as Johnny Gargano, dressed up as Wolverine. Like it's eating itself, Jack.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's like kind of give it a break, and stuff like that. It's like
these guys don't have their own identities.
Yeah, like you mentioned, when they're gonna be doing like the stars of today, I just wonder. It's like, what is someone gonna do if they want to pay homage to John Cena? Are they gonna come out in jorts? So funny to fathom. Is someone gonna come dressed out in the demon paint if they want to, pay homage to Finn?
So this match, Jack, it happened, and I didn't have to, and I don't know who it was for, and Edge is boring. And Edge, I saw there was a spot where he hit an elbow drop, and you're like, I don't know why.
I saw that too, and I was like, that's real odd for him to be going for an elbow drop.
Throw back to an elbow drop. Mm-hmm. Match ends with him not using his own move because I don't know, man. Like, you know what I mean? He ended with the Glamazon. What do they call it?
The Glam Slam.
The Glam Slam because LOL. Let's share moves. OMG. I'm over these like couple matches, Jack. Like, I hate they just don't have the only story that exists is that hey, you're married and we're not doing anything on Sunday. Let's do this.
Yeah, like I said, filler match at that point,
I hope it's done. I hope this doesn't continue. The baby faces, big O air quotes won, and I loathe what Edge is going to do at WrestleMania.
You most likely
he's gonna derail somebody else's career for a couple of months.
What are you gonna? The listeners would like to know what are your thoughts then on the people who want Edge to challenge Bobby Lashley for the WWE title.
Yeah, I want him to too, so Bobby Lashley could put him back in retirement. Goodness, can you imagine the Hurt Lock on Edge?
Oh,
what's the matter with you people?
Yeah, even worse. I get to some people it's a dream match, but they want him to go against AJ Styles, and it's just like, well, AJ's more than likely going to use the forearm or the what is it, the calf crusher or whatever. Well, you already know there's going to be those people out there like, hey, can AJ Styles try the what's it called, the Styles Clash on Edge? And it's just like, what are you trying to do to the guy?
Goodness gracious.
That is not a risk you take with Edge.
No, I'm quite done with Edge. Quite.
Oh my gosh. Well, 30 minutes left. Coincidence, I guess. What timing? 30 minutes left for the 30-man Royal Rumble event.
And like we mentioned in the last episode, we probably don't have as much to say about this one, at least positively. Goodness, where do you want to start, Jack? And we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, 30 men enter the ring. You've got to throw everybody over the top rope. The last man standing wins a championship match at WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey has already punched her ticket to the grandest stage of them all. Who amongst these 30 men is going to do the same?
Yeah, and
like you did for the women's, I said it was going to be Big E. And who was your men pick?
My men's pick was Kevin Owens.
That's right.
I was like, hey, as I told my dad, I'm like, and then I picked Kevin Owens with the thinking that, like I mentioned earlier, Rollins could maybe realistically win. He brings that title to Raw, and him and KO feud over it because KO never has best friends, or at least for long. He always ends up turning on him like Randy Orton. He's this generation's Randy Orton because of the fact that he hates having partners.
That's funny.
But
so solid pick. Yeah, the match. Say again?
Well, I was saying, and another thing that probably tied into it was KO re-signed. Who knows? Maybe the incentive was, hey, you want to win the Rumble? That was kind of my thinking too.
Yeah. So the match starts. Number 1, AJ Styles. So far, so good. Number 2, Jack Shinsuke Nakamura, and I was excited. I thought, are we going to get the Shinsuke AJ match we didn't get during that summer they feuded, and he kept doing the low blow?
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, hey, it's funny because I've shown my dad their match that they had at Wrestle Kingdom, and
yeah.
He enjoyed it, but I think one thing that he just got out of it, and that it's become a joke anytime we see the two of them in the ring, is during that New Japan match, my dad kind of felt like the ref was being a bit too biased for Shinsuke. Like you would see him kind of it seemed like he was counting faster for Shinsuke for Shinsuke rather than Styles. So when we saw that these two were going to start off, I look at my dad and I go, "Hey, AJ has a chance as long as they don't got that ref from New Japan."
Was it Red Shoes?
I think it might have been.
Yeah. And there was a couple of hopeful spots in my heart where Shinsuke is just laying in those kicks kind of hard at AJ. And the best spot that doesn't happen is it looks like he's setting him up for an exploder suplex out of the ring because he's positioning himself we're at the ropes. And it doesn't happen, but just the tease of it, Jack, was enough to my heart be still, my rapidly beating heart.
Yeah, I know some people thought AJ might win, but I was like, no, he's probably going to be the Iron Man. He's the one guy that can go pretty much the longest in this match. And I was like, hey, it's nice to see them two start off.
Yeah.
And then you get a couple of, nice little entries. Austin Theory coming in with the story of essentially being Vince McMahon's, new chosen one.
Yep. Bobby Roode and AJ sharing a ring again for the first time in a minute.
Yeah, and the crowd chanting TNA.
Yeah.
That was pretty nice. He goes out pretty quickly, though, too, AJ.
Yes, he does. First one out, I think.
Yeah. We got Ridge Holland. He has the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Sad to see that him and Sheamus don't come out with matching masks.
Alas.
Yeah, he pretty much is wearing the same mask as Sheamus, though. That's pretty funny.
It is.
You get Montez Ford coming in. Yeah, a bunch of tag teams in this Rumble, actually.
Montez Ford and Austin Theory, I don't know about. I think it's because I take for granted how young they are. But those two could be a main event of WrestleMania in a couple of years, Where we'll look back at their humble beginnings as a couple of scrubs at the Royal Rumble, rubbing elbows with AJ Styles and Bobby Roode and Shinsuke, right? Those two, I don't know. You just go, how the hell are you 25 or whatever they are?
Yeah.
And at the level that they are.
Yeah, real crazy. Especially Montez with, everyone just seriously believes he can go on to be a big singles guy because he's got the promo work, the charisma. Mm-hmm. Most importantly, he connects with that crowd real well.
He certainly does.
We get your favorite coming in at number 7, Damien Priest.
The listening audience hasn't heard, but I've turned on Damien again. I'm as fickle as his personalities. He sucked in NXT. He was okay when he came up because they changed it, and now they changed it again. And it's because his name's Damien and his name's Priest. And there's like a good side to him and a bad side to him. And you're like, yeah, but like to some people, the Priest isn't necessarily a good side of anything. But whatever.
Yeah, and, you know, kind of getting the Rumble crowded a bit, you know, at this point. I don't think many people have been eliminated yet other than Rude.
Right?
We get my favorite guy, Sami Zayn, coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course, I knew at the moment he comes in, I'm like, it's coming up. It has to be. We get Johnny Knoxville coming in.
Yep.
And he comes out with the crew.
Do you know what he's dressed as?
Andy Kaufman.
That's what I read. Yes.
Yeah, I saw that too. That his gear was an homage to Andy Kaufman. You want to know why that works? Because no one's paying homage to Andy Kaufman. You know?
And, you know, there's something to, I'm somebody who doesn't belong here. Let me pay homage to somebody who didn't belong here.
Yeah.
A little self-awareness. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's at this point, or at least maybe a bit before it, Shinsuke goes out, you know? So that's already the second one, so it's still a bit crowded, but you get Knoxville in, he's messing with Sami Zayn, and then you just get the spot, you know, the classic spot when it comes to outsiders. Everyone just kind of looks at him in the middle of that ring and is like, you really don't belong here, and we don't really like the fact that you're here. And, you know, he gets pretty much ganged up. He does get some moves off on Sammy, and as people have been referencing it too, he hits AJ Styles with if you want to reference it as a Shibata-esque forearm, you know.
I saw that.
People were saying that, you know, he gives him a pretty hefty forearm, and AJ lays it in on him. Everyone proceeds to lay it in on him, and Rich Holland's looking like, you know, he's going to, you know, kind of gently take him out, you know, he puts him over the top, and it looks like he's just going to, like, you know, try and push him off, whatever. And that's when Zayn comes in, Haluva kicks him out, and so he's eliminated. But being too distracted by his rivalry with Knoxville, AJ's able to dump out Sammy.
Yep.
You know, so that's a nice bit story.
And I think it's right about here, Jack, right around Knoxville. Dawkins is next. Almost comes out next. And I realize we're a third of the way through this Rumble, and it's actually moving kind of fast. So I start timing, and I go, oh, yeah, I think these guys are coming out in 60-second intervals, not 90.
Yeah, pretty quick. And, you know, it's like looking at the remaining field, you know, because Dawkins comes in, and he kind of gets eliminated pretty quickly, and so does Ford because of almost coming in and getting his elimination type spree, you know, but it was at this point, you know, and this isn't like, you know, like this is again, this is gonna be one of my little nitpicks of the Rumble and of the fan base as a whole. It's at this point that I'm looking at the talent in the ring, and you know, like we mentioned, you got guys like Montez and Austin Theory who can be future stars, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the field real quickly, and I'm like, well, Shinsuke and Sammy are out. I'm like, we have Ridge Holland, who can kind of be in that field with Montez in theory, but I don't think he's as young as them. You know? Damien Priest almost coming in. I'm just kind of sitting there. I'm like, for a third of the Rumble in, almost halfway in, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, in the sense of, like, if you had to tell me to pick one person to win from just this first, like, third, the only one I can tell you is Styles, because he's the only one that has any real star power.
Yeah, and let me hit you with some names that come in the second third, Jack. It's even worse. It's Ricochet, Chad Gable, Dominic Mysterio, and Corbin, Happy Corbin,
Ziggler,
Dolph Ziggler, and Sheamus comes out, Jack. And Sheamus is the first name in a long time where you begin to think a credible winner, perhaps, because he's won a Rumble and he's a former champion.
Yeah, you know, and
yeah, we have 6 entrants, you know, just like, okay.
Yeah, and I bring up this, you know, because it's like there's no one really there. You know, and when I saw people with similar criticism, there was like I say I'm gonna nitpick the fan base. You know, it's like a lot of the fan base was like, oh, well, you know, you guys complained that WWE relies on stars of the past, you know, and, you know, it's a common theme where there wasn't that many surprise entrants, you know.
I'm going to lie, Jack. I think you and I can both agree that on this night, Royal Rumble, we want them to rely on stars from the past.
Yeah, you know, and when
it's not on our regular Monday Night Raw, but right now in the Royal Rumble, please pad out with stars of the past. Otherwise,
yeah.
Jack, wait a minute, we're building stars like Rick Boogs and Madcap Moss.
yeah, and like no one's calling for the legends to return and win. It's like, hey, just give us some fun little moments.
You burned so many bridges, though. Damn it. So many of them are appearing for GCW or AEW. No one's going to come and be a part of your Royal Rumble.
Yeah, you know, it's like, I mean, that's kind of what happens when you cut over 100 people that, you
Goodness gracious.
You're lacking star power. And, like, my thing isn't, you know, my main criticism with them isn't that, you know, I don't want them to build up the new talent. Sure, if you want to build up Madcap Moss out of all people, go right ahead. But, like, you know, the main thing I saw, like, I saw this one, like, tweet, and, like, I just full-heartedly agree with it. Because it was, like, it really tied into the first 10 entrants. And it was, like, how do you have AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, and Sami Zayn in the first 10, and no one really cares about 3 of those guys? You know, they care about AJ, but, like, you know, as sad as it is, no one cares about Nakamura right now. No one cares about Sami Zayn. Even as big of a Sami Zayn fan as I am, you know, I'm not that interested in his work right now. I still support him and want him to do the best, but it's like, and then later on in the match, guys like Kevin Owens, you know, I mean, he's still doing work. He has a crowd behind him, but we're meaning in the sense of, like, nobody really cares because, again, and it's a big nitpick, or not really nitpick, just a criticism of this entire men's rumble, the way these people are booked is enough to make the people just not care.
Right. No, exactly. It's everything. And
it affects the Rumble as a whole because people want to call on those past stars because it's like we want to just have those little fun moments. And, you know, like as they do typically when the legends return, it's like they're usually returning, have a quick spot, and then they get eliminated by a younger talent to help get them over. You know, and it's like here it was just like, it's not that I'm not excited for these new guys, you know. It's not that I'm not excited for Austin Theory, Montez Ford, you know, Chad Gable, a lot of these guys that I like, you know, Riddle, McIntyre, Owens. It's that the way they're booked a lot of the times, it's like, why am I supposed to care about them?
So, to build on that, Jack, other people in this match that I don't care about, it's just sickening to fathom, is like Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre came on, Jack, and I felt nothing. I was dead inside. Compare that to 2019 when the man came out, guns a-blazing, eliminated Brock Lesnar. He's out here now to run off Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin, and I couldn't care less.
Yeah, you know, and spoiler, when he's in the Final 4 and then Final 2, it was like I told him, I'm like, it's not that I don't love Drew, you know, I love Drew McIntyre, but it just doesn't make sense, you know. You're not going to have him go against Bobby Lashley again.
Nope.
You know, he's not going after
Yeah, that was a weird carrot to dangle. No one's biting. And by the way, speaking of Final 4, Jack, who were the Final 4 of the Men's Royal Rumble?
So, you know, we get, if I remember correctly, it's Matt Riddle, Shane McMahon, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar, who comes out at number 30.
Yes, he does.
You know, that's our Final 4, and even going one further, Final 5, Bad Bunny was in the Final 5.
Bad Bunny has an incredible showing. It shouldn't have happened. We had 2 celebrities in this Rumble, Jack.
Yeah, you know.
And he eliminated Dolph? He eliminated Sheamus.
With
a low bridge. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, and you know, real quick before we get into the Final 4, gotta mention too, Kofi comes out and they tried to do the saving spot, but you know, I don't know how they expected him to do that save with the crowd in the front row.
Yeah.
You know, because we've seen Ricochet make that jump against Morrison, but that was because it was in an empty arena. You know, it was like he could make that jump without worrying about accidentally hitting someone.
And we've seen Morrison do it.
Yeah, but like the way, especially those fans, how they were like a lot of the time leaning on the Bears, like you can't expect Kofi to make that jump, and most importantly, the camera caught it too.
I'm actually like very grateful for the response that spot got, because people have generally, like, the majority of the responses that I've seen are, well, it was bound to happen. Kudos to Kofi for lasting so long without a botch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, it's so funny for people to be so forgiving. And if you're not forgiving of the Kofi botch, then you're using it to express your frustration with this match as a whole. They were like, as if things couldn't get any worse. Kofi blew his spot.
Yeah, and you know, and for signals of how much things would come to worse, you know, Owens, Big E, you know, because at this point, you know, oh, that's another thing to mention. AJ Styles is in the match. He, as I mentioned, he's pretty much the Iron Man. He is the one in this match who lasts the longest. He gets eliminated by Madcap Moss.
Yes, he does.
And that had the entire community as a whole up in arms, because it's like, again, we want you to build new talent, sure, but, you know, AJ Styles going out to Madcap Moss, you know?
That's frustrating, yeah.
Austin Theory going out pretty early when Shane McMahon comes in later. People were like...
Shane McMahon, Jack. Shane McMahon.
Yeah, people were like, you know, someone brought this up, and I was like, hey, that could have made sense. They were like, they thought the whole point of Shane coming back was so that either Austin Theory could eliminate him or he could eliminate Austin Theory and start some type of feud for Mania about how he has Vince's favor while he's his own son and doesn't get that favor.
Vince, I mean, Shane don't care about Vince's favor. He's moved so far past that. But you're right, Jack. It only would have made storyline sense.
Yeah, you know, it's like...
How frustrating, Jack, was it for the commentators to say, we haven't seen Shane since WrestleMania. They don't at all mention what he was doing at WrestleMania because you let the guy go that he was doing it with.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to live like this? Walking on eggshells. What am I supposed to say or not say? I wish they were open about, oh, yeah, we saw Shane fight Braun Strowman. Remember him? I don't. Let's move on.
Yeah, you know, and Riddle comes in.
Yes, he does.
As I mentioned, Kevin Owens and Big E come in, but, like, Big E lasts 6 minutes.
Yes,
and gets
he does.
eliminated. Kevin Owens gets eliminated by Shane McMahon, and this is where I audibly just went, you know, for the listening audience at home that can't see, I threw my arms up in the air in frustration. I was like, what are we doing here? You know? He went out before Otis did.
Yep.
He went out before Bad Bunny did. Before Shane did. Randy Orton comes out and gets the biggest pop ever because he's in his hometown and he only lasts 2 minutes.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't even make it to the final 5. He made it to the final 6, but it was like, what are we doing here, people?
And the worst part of it, to quote the social worker at my school, Mr. Gonzalez, the winner of this match, Jack, Brock Lesnar, who came in at number 30 full of pee and vinegar because of the match that happened right before this, didn't need to win this match. He didn't need this match, Jack. If he wanted Roman, he could Brock Lesnar his way into a Roman Reigns match. He could have threw around the Usos for a while until Roman got offended. God, all Seth had to do was knock his door a certain way.
Yeah.
But we gave it to Brock Lesnar.
Here's the booking of this match that really got me frustrated, because this just shows they themselves aren't even thinking. Number 30 was Brock Lesnar. It wasn't someone else, and Brock comes and attacks him.
No, it's true.
It's Brock as number 30 himself. So if you're going by their logic, even if he retained his title, was he still going to be number 30? He was always going to be
in the match.
Like, it's just the flaws in their booking here. You know, I get to some people.
We don't get the satisfaction of seeing or hearing who could it have been. Pick a superstar, Jack. I can't think of anybody.
I'll name the one that people were most surprised wasn't there. Cesaro or Balor.
Let's go. Balor's music hits. We see Balor being thrown across the stage by an unseen figure, and it's Brock Lesnar. right? Cesaro, you hear his music, but we go to the back, and Cesaro is, in pieces like a Lego set, and Brock Lesnar comes out. No, it was Brock Lesnar's music, and it was going to be Brock Lesnar all along.
Yeah, and like I said, the moment KO went out, I threw my arms up in frustration. And the moment I saw the final few people in the Rumble, I already told my dad, I was like, it's predictable at this point.
Yep.
It went from being the most unpredictable Rumble where no one knew,
most predictable.
No one knew who could realistically win, to like halfway through the night, everyone was like, we know what's happening, just get it over with.
Goodness gracious. And bless the commentary team for acting like they don't know who he's going to challenge. Actually, now that we're past this point, we can say that, Jack, tell me if I'm reading this correct, because I got the WWE Twitter open. Brock is in the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match.
Mm-hmm.
But also he challenged Roman.
Yes.
They are setting up that title, aren't they?
It's what makes me think so.
I hope they don't. I hope that's what they're teasing. That's what they want us all to think. But it's an Elimination Chamber, Jack. You can beat Brock Lesnar in a chamber. You know what I mean? Like, all the shenanigans in the world. Bring Shelton. Bring Cedric.
Hey, if Goldberg got beaten in the chamber, Brock could get beaten.
Bring Big E. Bring Kofi. Bring KO. Bring Seth. Like, everyone just gang up on him.
Assemble the Avengers. This is Thanos.
This is Thanos. Open the portals. Everyone spam their finishers. And dogpile. I still see him winning.
I still see him kicking out at 1.
Oh gosh, he's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, and the worst part about this Rumble too was that, like, unlike the women's one, it didn't have any real surprises other than Shane McMahon.
There's no fun gifable moments. There's no fun inclusions, right?
Yeah,
and it has everything to do with the WWE burning every bridge they could possibly find, right?
Mm-hmm. They tried to contact multiple stars to make an appearance, and multiple of them were like, "Yeah, I'm fine." The Iconics were like, "Yeah, we're gonna pass. We're fine for now. We'd rather not show up in the Women's Rumble."
No, right. So, a bummer, but, well, we're on this road to WrestleMania. Buckle up. There's still potential for things to sort of make sense, and that's what I want. I want things to make sense. I want 2 championship matches. Ronda's back, so that makes things interesting.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. A part of me felt I was like nitpicking, getting too much into it, but like another part of me was like I mentioned, it's like, how do you have all this talent in the world and I can barely find an ounce to care about any of them?
Goodness gracious.
Like, it really makes me sad, but hey, these guys, like we mentioned with Ronda, these guys are getting paid, so
yeah, they are.
Can't be too harsh for them, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn just got new contracts. They're fine. Yep. Would I love to see them get more opportunities? Yes, but if this company insists on booking one-man shows, and one-man title scenes, then by all means, just go ahead at this point. Because that's really what this Rumble felt like, was everyone waiting around until Lesnar showed up.
Goodness.
As always, I try and stay optimistic about this, although.
Let's not end on this sour note, Jack. Let's name something we're excited about in the world of professional wrestling, even if it isn't WWE. Anything on the horizon, Jack?
Stardom is teasing that Kairi Sane comes back.
Wow.
I'm excited to see if that comes true.
Okay.
I wasn't able to go, but I'm excited to see what Jonah was doing at PWG.
Bola?
Yeah, PWG's Bola. I'm excited to see. I saw based off of his stories and posts that something happened where they busted his eye and he was wearing an eye
Really?
patch. Yeah, at first he was wrestling just with the bandaging over it, but then he transitioned to an eye patch like the second day of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm trying to stay positive, and then I was like, maybe I can think of something for NXT, and all I thought of was Walter's name change, and I was like, you know what? Let's just move right past that. I don't think we need this.
Ilya Dragunov beat him so bad in August that the man's changed his name to Gunther.
Oh my gosh!
Goodness gracious!
You know, for all the people that are like, you're still gonna watch it, yeah, because it's fun to cover these shows and give.
Hey, so I watched GCW In Your World or In the World or the Hammerstein Ballroom show from last week.
Yeah.
What a cluster that was. Goodness gracious. It had its highs and it had its lows. It was entertaining. I'm glad I only spent $15 because I didn't watch it live. But goodness, did they try to do a lot.
Yeah, the two notable things I saw was I forget the guy's name, but he tried to do a move off the ladder and just completely fell
and
straight.
Definitely did it. That was AJ Gray.
Yeah, I saw
he ends up winning the thing, and you think, I think this victory would have been sweeter if you had hit that move.
Yeah,
instead of yourself.
And then the other thing I saw was all the highlights from Matt Cardona and Joey Janela's match with all the people coming out.
That was like it was good. Then it was okay. Then it was obnoxious, and then it got good again. Like it was so long, and there was so much. Like Brian Myers coming out dressed as Edge from One Night Stand. You know what I mean? Like these guys are such nerds, and I'm here for it.
Ryder coming out to enter Sandman. Basically.
Yeah.
You had X-Pac showing up, Sean Waltman.
For some reason and for no reason. This was after the match.
Yeah, I couldn't believe a lot of the stuff I was seeing that was happening on that show. I was like, man, how much did they cram into this one match?
Did you see the Hornswoggle bit?
I saw the Hornswoggle bit.
There's a Hornswoggle bit, for good measure.
Oh, man.
So, plenty to be excited and, hopeful for. WWE always steers its ship somewhere towards true north around WrestleMania time.
I mean, who knows what happens? At least, I'm trying to think, what are they going to do for the rest of the cards? Of Mania, There's a long way to go for Mania, but it's like, there's a lot of people, it's like, hey, I wonder what the New Day are going to be doing for Mania then. What are KO and Rollins going to be doing?
I'll tell you what, Jack, if what we fear happens and Brock wins the title and it's title for title, Roman, we have two titles tied up there. And in the women's, you got Ronda starting beef with Charlotte and Becky is a champion as well. And you think, oh, we're going to tie up two championships in that affair? I hope not. I desperately hope not.
As always, we just remain optimistic for whatever WWE has in the future.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Chamber in Saudi. I'm excited to see how that goes.
They're really kind of like, it's going to be canon, They're really investing in that as far as what they're planning and who they're involving.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what they do. As always, like I said, just got to be optimistic for the future when it comes to WWE. Yep. Which I feel like we say too often, the whole phrase, just let it play out. And then we let it play out and it never usually goes to plan.
I'm just saying.
With that being said, I've been your host, Jack, joined by my fellow guests.
It's Mr. Solis.
Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Rule 34 Podcast, Season 2. As always, if it exists, we have an opinion on it. Thank you all, and we'll catch y'all in February for the Elimination Chamber event.
Woohoo!